Well, hello and good evening, everybody. Welcome to tonight's webinar. Glad you could join us. With me, I have Paul Muniz, our presenter for this evening. So thank you. We just got a few, few little things to go through. Just some. Actually, I'm going to pop ahead to this slide first. For those that are logged on, I think everybody's got it figured out how to work the system. And everybody's audio is muted, so thank you very much if you have children in the background or dogs barking. That's great if you're on mute, so thank you very much. If anybody experiences any technical difficulties at this point, I won't be able to answer my phone, but you could certainly text me if you have any problems. And I got to keep my phone in front of me so that I can see what's coming in. So that's pretty much what we're doing. You can certainly send us a question, so feel free to ask questions. I'll monitor the chat function as we go along. So if you send in some questions, I can certainly ask Paul at appropriate intervals any questions you might have. So I think I got my slides in the wrong order. There we go. Just so that I can let everybody know that doesn't know me, my name is Wendy Jobs, and I'm the moderator for this webinar. I'm also the British Columbia Dental Hygienists Association Manager of Dental Hygiene Practice. I've been with BCDHA for just over 4 years. I have worked as an educator in dental hygiene. I currently work in residential care. I have 2 dogs and 3 children, all of whom are grown up and one lives with me right now as he's going back to school for his 2nd degree. So enough about me, and thanks for everyone who is attending this evening and to Paul. So the webinar tonight is designed into 2 parts. We'll have approximately a 45-minute presentation with Paul, and then we'll have 10 or 15 minutes for Q&A, so we should be out of here by 8 o'clock. Skip ahead. So I want to introduce Paul. Paul is a charter life underwriter, and I have to read this because some of these words are hard to pronounce. Member of Advocis prior to joining Hazlitt Financial. Paul worked in a senior management role in the lumber industry for 8 successful years after completing the business program at BCIT. Paul joined Hazlitt Financial in 2007 as a financial advisor and managing director, contributing his talents and experience to the growth of the firm. Shortly after joining the firm, Paul acquired his charter life underwriter designation. As a financial advisor, Paul collaborates with all clients while maintaining a primary focus on risk management. In this capacity, Paul oversees various types of personal insurance such as disability, critical illness, life insurance, and long-term care. Paul also acts as the managing director for the firm, ensuring that Hazlitt Financial maintains its position as a recognized leader in the financial planning industry. In his spare time, Paul enjoys sailing, competitive rowing, skiing, spending time with his family, and weekend travel trips. So thank you, Paul. I really appreciate you joining us tonight, and I'll let him take over in just a minute, but I do have a couple things I want to just review. These are the objectives for tonight's presentation. I won't read them out to you because I'm sure everybody is able to read who's on there tonight, so you can have a look. We're going to look at the financial planning process, the importance of income protection, and it's a fairly strong desire for BCDHA to have protection for our members, which is you. And we definitely believe in income protection for yourself and for your family. So Paul will be talking about that and how to distinguish different types of plans, the types of things that will influence premiums, et cetera, et cetera. So we'll cover quite a bit of that tonight. And I do want to alert you to the 2017 CDHA Employment and Job Market Survey that CDHA conducts every 2 years. And the data from the 2017, sorry, I'm just going to mute somebody there. It sounds like I've got, there we go. Sorry, I just had to look away. Oh, was that you? Sounds like somebody was doing dishes.
Yeah, it's my staff in the lunchroom. Apparently the noise was.
Oh, and they're cleaning up after themselves, so don't make them stop.
No.
I just wanted to draw your attention to the 2017 Job Market Employment Survey that CDHA conducts every 2 years. And in that, the data indicated that 75% of the respondents, and there was almost 1,400 hygienists in BC who reported this, that 75% of you those that responded, reporting having a work-related medical issue in the last year. And I thought this was a mistake when I first read it. I thought, how could 75% of hygienists be experiencing work-related medical issues in the last year, or maybe in their entire career? But it was fairly staggering for me, and that became very, very important, especially when I'm talking to hygienists and they contact the association looking for assistance because they've been injured in some way. It may or may not be related to a work-related issue. It could be a car accident they were in, or an accident they fell and slipped, or the variety of accidents that we can have that will disable us for either a temporary or a permanent time frame. So I just wanted everybody to be alerted to that. I will send out a link, and here's to the survey if you want to make a note of it. It's www.surveymonkey.com with those last few digits at the end there. So I'll just leave it there for just a moment. If everybody could certainly fill out that survey, we really appreciate your feedback. So at the end, if you wouldn't mind doing that. And now I'm going to turn it over to Paul. I just got to make him the presenter, and we'll be well on our way. So thanks, Paul. I appreciate you doing this for us again.
Happy to do so. Yeah, let me.
There we go. Yep, we see you.
Okay, good. And then I'll just do. How does that look?
Yep, looks perfect.
Yeah. Okay, great. Well, good evening, everyone. My name, as Wendy mentioned, is Paul, and we'll walk through our company and just give you a little bit of outline of who we are and how long we've been in the profession for. So we're a 27-year-old company this year. Jeannie Haslett, who started the company, was a CDA for almost 20 years before starting this firm. And then when she started the firm, her main goal was to work with dental hygienists, and we've been working with your profession since then. We're a brokered company, which means we're licensed to represent every company in Canada when it comes to getting insurance. So we're not tied to working with one organization, which is important for you as a client or for anyone looking for insurance. We just want to make sure that you have the best option in place. We all have unique designations to the financial planning field. Katie and Jeannie have the CHS designation, which is the Certified Health Insurance Specialist designation. As Wendy had mentioned, I have the Certified Life Underwriter designation, and then my colleague Darren has the Certified Financial Planner designation. So we all have unique designations to the financial planning field. This screen basically tells you how wonderful we are. It basically highlights we work with every company in Canada, so we're not tied to working with any particular insurance company in Canada. We just want to make sure that you have the best plan in place when it comes to getting your insurance. We're a member of the $1 Million Roundtable, which is awarded to the top 6% of advisors worldwide. We've qualified for that every year, and we also receive the National Quality Award every year as well. In our firm, Jeannie, Katie, myself, and Kevin, one of our newer advisors, look after the insurance risk. So that would be all the different personal insurances that one would need. Life, disability, critical illness insurance, or long-term care. And then my colleague, Darren, is there to discuss, or at any point, to help with what should I do with my debt, student loans, line of credit, what should I think about from a tax planning point of view, should I look at investments, what investment vehicle makes the most sense. So we are a complete financial planning firm in that regard. We're also very open about, just to be completely transparent, how we get paid as a company. We get paid a fee through the insurance companies that a client would place their business with. All of the companies compensate us evenly, so it doesn't matter to us who the client chooses from an insurance product or an insurance policy point of view. So they compensate us evenly. All of the insurance companies set the rates, which means the premium or cost to the client is set by the insurance company, which is a really good thing. And then we always appreciate referrals from colleagues or friends. And then we also run our office like a dental practice. So we, instead of doing a 6-month recall, we do a 12-month recall. So we check in every year to review insurance policies together, check in on health, check in on what's happening with work, and then get an update from there. So that's a little bit about us as a company. This screen basically emphasizes from a planning point of view, what should someone consider first? So we always recommend start with a very good, strong foundation. So individuals always ask me, or clients will say, well, when should I be considering or looking at life insurance? And we would typically recommend that for sort of the following cases. You've got children, dependents, spouse, mortgage. You're financially responsible for your parents. That type of situation, that's when we would look at life insurance together. Disability insurance is the basically the cornerstone or key insurance policy that we'd recommend at first to ensure that your income is protected. So if you can't work, the insurance company pays you a monthly benefit every month until you can return to work. A will, when would a will be necessary? Again, when you have children, spouse, mortgage, assets, basically. The other thing we would recommend or talk about is an emergency fund. So having 3 to 6 months of safe savings is always recommended. I'm not sure the age of everybody in the group today, but if you're new to the profession and have student loans or line of credit debt, then having a line of credit that you could access would be a good thing instead of having 3 months of safe savings in a bank account if you're carrying a lot of debt. So that's one thing to consider. And then the next policy on the marketplace is called critical illness insurance. And what this policy does is it pays out a lump sum of money, in most cases 30 days after diagnosis of cancer, heart attack, or stroke. Your disability insurance policy will cover all of those conditions if you can't work due to a heart attack or cancer diagnosis or a stroke or one of the 25 conditions that are covered under the policy. We look at this policy as more of the nicer to have policy. Always recommend the disability insurance first, and then the critical illness insurance would be maybe the second or third policy that a client would put in place. So there's maybe a right time and place for that policy, again, depending on your age and where you are in your career. So in a given year, this information is provided by Great-West Life. Basically, the key here at the bottom is 1 in 7 could become disabled. So the chance of a disability occurring in your career is significant. I went through it myself back in 2005. I was rowing with UBC's master's program. Came back from a Seattle 5-kilometer race with a cold. 2 weeks later, I was diagnosed with pneumonia. And then 2 weeks after that, I was diagnosed with mono. And, you know, for me, having all of that happen at once definitely sort of drove home that, you know, I'm not bulletproof and things can happen. So I was off work from about November of 05 to about July of 2006 before I got back to work full time. So that was my story. And at that point, I thought I was, you know, doing all of the right things, like eating well, exercising, taking care of myself, and that happened to me. So definitely a bit of a wake-up call. These stats are provided by Manulife, one of the insurance companies in Canada, and it basically gives you an idea of what they see from a claims point of view when it comes to disability insurance. And so the first one would be musculoskeletal, and then very close behind that would be the mental health condition. So those would be the two most common claims that they see. From our claims point of view, we have about 180 clients currently on claim right now. And the most common claim that we're seeing right now today would be the mental health condition. So anxiety, depression, stress, those types of concerns or issues. So that gives you a bit of an idea of what claims, or I guess the biggest percentage of claims today in the marketplace. So I've touched on the most common cause of disability, so I'll flip that screen. For any hygienist that's part of a dental office employee, your employer will pay into WorkSafe BC. Don't think that this is disability insurance or this is going to help you if you can't work in your dental office. I think in our 27 years, we've had one client attempt to make a claim for a WorkSafe BC accident or try and, you know, get coverage, and that claim was declined. So we typically would suggest WorkSafe BC would be more for the roofer, someone working in a lumber mill, more of a trader, or working in a much more dangerous environment than a hygienist working in a dental office. So that's WorkSafe BC in a nutshell.
Oh, hey, Paul, I can kind of
Yeah,
interject there too, that the
perfect.
repetitive type of injuries that hygienists often suffer from, carpal tunnel, shoulder, upper back issues, the hygienists that have contacted me for those repetitive type of chronic long-term, WCB just refuses to pay them. I mean, if you're climbing up a ladder and fall off, that's different than if you have something that's been kind of creeping up for the last 10 years. However, hygienists don't usually go up ladders, so we're not
No,
prone to that type
no,
of injury for sure.
no, for sure. Like I've joked, like you don't typically fall off your chair at work, or
Yeah, yeah,
types of things. So
fair
yeah,
enough.
yeah. Thanks, Wendy. Uh, Going to a few more stats here. If we were to look at female, so taking a sample of 1,000 female, depending on your age, so there is a significant chance that one could claim. So depending on 25, 30, or 35, you get the feel of the chances of a claim happening. Same thing for a male, pretty similar stats depending on the age group as well. So 4 out of 9 at 25, 4 out of 9 at 30, or 2 out of 5 at 35, and so on. How long would a disability last for? So this is important. It could be 2 years or more, again, depending on the individual's age, but that, it could be a long-term issue. And we definitely have our clients that have been on claim. We have many that have been on claim for more than 2 years. So that gives you an idea of how long a claim could last for. This screen basically emphasizes your potential earning potential as a hygienist. So it's a very conservative calculation or numbers to look at. It doesn't account for any pay raises. It doesn't account for any inflation, but it gives you roughly an idea of if I was making $6,000 a month or $8,000 a month, or whatever amount of money we want to take, look at. Your earning potential in hygiene is significant, and the whole point of a disability insurance policy is to make sure that income is protected. So I'm not sure if any of you have calculated sort of your overall income, but this gives you an idea of, okay, over my career, if I were to work from the, at $6,000 a month for between 30 and the age of 65, I would make about $2.5 million of income. So it gives you an idea of your income potential working as a hygienist. So from a disability point of view, let's just talk about that. So disability insurance covers an illness or injury that would prevent you from working in your occupation as a hygienist. It pays you a monthly amount of income per month, typically after a 90-day waiting period, and then pays you until age 65 if you can't return to the profession of hygiene. So it's a monthly amount of income. The insurance company pays you on claim until you can return to work as a hygienist. If you can't return to work as a hygienist, you'd want to make sure that you have the proper definition on your policy, which I'll touch on in a minute. So where do you get coverage? Our firm would represent the individual plan. A group plan would be something through an employer or through an association like the BCDHA. With an individual plan, these plans are called non-cancelable, guaranteed renewable, which means the cost of the plan remains the same for the life of the coverage. You own the contract and only you can cancel it. So what the non-cancelable means is you can't have, or the insurance company cannot cancel the coverage on you, but if you decide you no longer want the coverage, you can cancel at any point. So there's no penalty to you if you no longer want the coverage. With any group plan, there's no contractual guarantees. The insurance company can basically modify the coverage, and then the premiums can be increased without consulting anyone in the group because you actually aren't on the contract. And then the premiums will typically increase every 5 years as you get older as well. So every 5 years, the cost of the plan goes up. And with different associations that we're involved with, we've seen rates increase of 7% to 11% over the last couple of years with a few other occupations that we're involved with. So those rates are basically today's rates, and the insurance company can control what happens with those premiums or cost. Any plan that's individually set up is portable, which means you can take it anywhere in Canada or anywhere in the world for that matter. And if you were to change into another occupation, that coverage would follow you into that new profession. So as an example, if you left hygiene and went into another profession, that contract would follow you into that new profession, which is important. Whereas a group plan, as soon as you leave that group or association, the coverage would stop. And if your health were to deteriorate, you'd be stuck with that group coverage as well. Most individual plans offer the most liberal definitions, and those definitions are guaranteed to age 65. Where what can happen with a group plan, so let's say an employer offered coverage through your office, what can happen after a 1 or 2 year period is the definition of disability can change. So here you are thinking, okay, I've got disability insurance through my work, my income is protected. The insurance company pays you on claim for a 1 or 2 year period. You're still not able to return to the work of hygiene or to your profession. But at that 2 year mark, you get a letter from the insurance company saying, sorry to hear you're still suffering from, as an example, that bad back. We agree you can't work as a dental hygienist, but your definition is now changed to what we call an any occupation definition. And you're more than capable of working at Starbucks, McDonald's, being a janitor, so we're no longer paying you any insurance moving forward. So that's one thing that we always want clients or individuals to know is what is my definition of disability and how long would the insurance company pay me for on claim if I can't return to that profession. So a big thing to make sure you're aware of. With your individual plan, whatever your monthly benefit is, that's what the company will pay you at claim time. So as an example, if your income has gone down, or let's use an example. So let's just pretend a client had a $3,000 tax-free monthly benefit with their insurance. So annually, that would be about $36,000 per year. But over the past year, that client who has a $3,000 monthly benefit amount has decided to work less. And maybe it's half-time or whatever that amount of income is, but maybe she would only technically, or he or she would technically only qualify for a $1,500 monthly benefit amount. That client needs to claim on their insurance. Well, the individual plan, if you can't work at all, is going to pay you your full monthly benefit amount, which is that $3,000 benefit amount, which is important. So they don't ask for income if you can't work at all. Where a group plan typically has a relationship to earnings clause on their coverage. So they would say, oh, well, you have a $3,000 monthly benefit amount, but based on your income for the past year, because you're working half-time, you only qualify for a $1,500 monthly benefit amount. So half of the insurance that you currently are paying for, so you'd only get half of your monthly benefit amount because your income doesn't support the amount of insurance that you have in place. So key here, I hope I haven't confused anyone here, but key here is with an individual plan, if you can't work at all, the insurance company pays you your full income or your full monthly benefit amount. Or a group plan wants to see income for the most recent year to see if you actually qualify for the amount of insurance that you've been paying for. So a key difference there as well.
So Paul, can I ask a question? No one's asked this,
yeah,
but just something that kind of twigged me when you were talking about that. How does it work? Like, what if a hygienist was on maternity leave or parental leave for a child? Would that impact on if they were with a group plan?
For sure. Yeah, because they'd go back and look at that income and sort of say, okay, well, the client was on mat leave. So that could be a bit of an issue.
Oh, that doesn't seem very fair, does it?
No, not at all. I mean, each insurance company is going to look at it differently, but that would be one concern with a group plan.
Right. Okay.
I had one of our clients who, sort of on those lines, she had about a $5,000 monthly benefit amount, was on mat leave. Her husband goes backcountry skiing and doesn't survive an avalanche, so pretty upsetting claim, to be honest. Went on claim with her insurance because, you know, you obviously can't work, you've got a newborn baby at home and you're in no position to go to work.
Mm-hmm.
So the insurance company paid her full $5,000 monthly benefit amount for about 12 months until she was able to return to work. So,
Right.
yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you.
Yeah. A few other features to consider when getting coverage or looking at insurance is if a client's on claim for more than a year, we want to make sure that your monthly benefit grows with inflation. Because, if a client, as an example, or if a hygienist was on claim for 5 years, we want to make sure that your monthly benefit is keeping pace with inflation every year. So as an example, let's say the consumer price index says inflation's 2%. Well, each year your monthly benefit would be growing by 2%. We were at an event on Friday, and one of my clients who's on claim and who won't return to work, he's been on claim for about 6 years now, and he makes a pretty substantial income, but his monthly benefit is $14,000 per month when he first went on claim. And he mentioned to me with the cost of living, his benefit has now grown to about $18,000 per month. So he was quite sort of thankful that he has this feature on the coverage where his benefit amount is keeping pace with inflation every year. Now that's a bit more extreme because his income as an anesthesiologist was pretty high, but it gives you sort of an idea of what can happen with the cost of living feature. The guaranteed physical insurability option is your ability to increase your coverage every year. So during that 12-month recall, we'll always check in with your insurance and check in to see how you're doing at work. And every year, as a hygienist, you have the option to increase your coverage. So that's a feature we always recommend to have, just to be able to insure more of your income as an important factor. Or if you're noticing your monthly expenses are increasing, well, you might want to increase your insurance benefit amount. Or the other situation could be, a hygienist is having an issue with their health. They're worried about needing to claim on their insurance down the road. And, well, no problem. You can keep increasing your insurance amount every year. So that way, when a hygienist goes on claim, that they've insured most of their income. So that's an important feature to have. And then the last one is the HIV Hep B or C rider, which basically means if a hygienist couldn't work as a hygienist due to one of those conditions, and a government regulatory body said you can't work due to one of these conditions, then that's what that feature is there for. So if diagnosed with HIV, Hep B or C, and a government regulatory body says, okay, you can't work anymore due to that condition, then your monthly benefit would be paid out through the healthcare rider option. So a few key features to consider. So what is premium? Premium is the cost. So how does the insurance company factor out the premium for a hygienist? Well, it would be how much insurance would I want to be insured for per month? So what would my monthly benefit be? Like $1,500 a month, $2,000 a month, $2,500 per month. So what amount of insurance would I need per month? My age. So what is my age? That would factor into the premiums. Gender, smoker, non-smoker. The waiting period is when will my insurance kick in? So a typical waiting period would be 90 days, which means you'd have to be off work for 90 days before the plan kicks in. Length of benefit would be typically to age 65, and then the definition of disability, which is key, which we'll come to in a minute, and then any optional features on the coverage as well. So this is the most important aspect of any contract is what is my definition of disability with my insurance? So a regular occupation definition is the best. And what that would do or how that would work is if you can't work as a dental hygienist, you're always on claim with your insurance policy. The insurance company can never force you to work in another occupation or force you to work somewhere else. And you would remain on claim with your insurance until your insurance policy until age 65. If you decide after a period of time that you would like to go do something else, at least it's your option or opportunity to go do that other job. It's not the insurance company telling you, we're no longer paying you anymore, go work at Starbucks. At least it's your decision. It's not the insurance company's. So that's the best definition for a dental hygienist today. And any occupation definition is the worst in the marketplace. And what that basically means is the insurance company would only pay you if you couldn't do any job. So it's basically a pretty severe or really hard definition to claim on. So that's key is what is my definition of disability on my insurance policy. A few extra features to consider when looking at coverage is with that 90-day waiting period, how long do I have to add up to it? So typically it would be a 6-month period. Same thing when I return to work. If I come back to work too soon from that illness or injury, and this affected me, do I have to resatisfy the 90 days if I need to go back on claim again? No, you've got a 6-month window typically to go back on claim. Another consideration when looking at insurance is, does the policy cover me for partial claims or loss of income or working less hours? So that's another key factor to consider. And then when on claim, most insurance policies don't need premiums or don't have any costs when on claim. And then most policies, when you do return to work, they keep the policy costs the same prior to going on claim. So they don't. So let's look at, if we were going to look at ICBC car insurance, renewals increase every year, and then especially after an accident, your cost of your insurance policy goes up. That doesn't happen with individual policies. And on the right-hand side, I've touched on the top three. Down at the bottom, there's a feature called return of premium. That can be added where if a hygienist doesn't claim on their insurance, every 8 years or 7 years, depending on the insurance carrier, you can get half of your premiums or cost refunded to you. So there is an additional cost to have that, but that is another consideration to look at. This is something important. Just wanted to touch on exclusions because, again, similar to the definition of disability is what is not covered on a policy. So on an individual contract, an act or accident of war, it would be basically a hygienist driving around in a tank, flying around in an F-16, or running around with a machine gun. So if you were part of the armed forces, no benefit would be paid to you. Donor or transplant surgery within the first 6 months of the plan would not be covered. After that, it would be. Normal pregnancy is not a disability, but any complication due to pregnancy would be covered. So as a firm, we've had clients on claim for postpartum depression, bed rest that has led to a C-section, morning sickness, those types of conditions. So those have been claimable conditions. And then no benefit is paid if a client or hygienist is in prison. And my lame joke is if you're in prison, you've got food, shelter, clothing, a job, so life's okay. So that's my lame joke. Now on a group plan, you'll notice that there's more exclusions listed. The one I always want to sort of point out is item C on the list. And this is, to me, is a very gray exclusion because it basically, me having playing or having participated in a lot of sports, well, what's a self-inflicted injury while sane? To me, that's very, very gray. So I just thought I would point that out as there's typically more exclusions on a group plan, and they typically have that item C on most group plans as well. So again, considerations when looking at coverage. So how would an individual get a policy? So typically what would happen is you would review options with an advisor. Once you've selected the option that you would like to apply for, you would go through an application, and then a nurse typically comes to your house and does a blood and urine test. They sometimes will write to you to or phone you to do a client telephone interview. And then in some cases, they'll write your doctor to get an attending physician statement if the insurance company needs further information on something that's been disclosed on the application. And there's basically 3 ways a policy could get issued. So it could be issued exactly as applied for. Sometimes the coverage could be issued with an exclusion if you've been treated for something recently or have an ongoing concern. And then in very rare situations, individuals could be declined. Typically, a dental hygienist would be declined if there's pending tests or stuff that's been ordered by your doctor, or the individual's been referred to a specialist and there's just not a clear diagnosis of what's happening. So there's basically three ways a policy could be issued. So as a firm or as an advisor, we always recommend, there is really no better time to get a policy, because you lock in premiums based on your current age, and the younger you are, or the sooner that someone gets onto a plan, that premium is guaranteed to be locked in and can't change. And then a key down at the bottom is you protect your future insurability, because you do a one-time medical check to get the insurance. But then once you have a policy in place, if your advisor has set up the policy correctly, you never have to do another medical, and then you can increase your monthly benefit amount every year while working. So a few considerations there. When looking at insurance, you always want to sort of compare apples to apples, so guaranteed versus non-guaranteed. We typically suggest if the premium or cost of plans are within 10% of each other, they're probably pretty comparable plans. But if you're looking at a plan that one plan has, let's say, a premium of $50 a month versus another plan that has a premium of $150 a month, well, you're not comparing the same type of coverage, and that $50 plan would have a lot of, or just not cover the same things that the $150 plan would have. So again, you definitely want to sort of look at coverage and figure out, okay, what makes the most sense for me and what I actually covered for. So at an appointment, what we do is basically explain all of the wording of the coverage together. Insurance is customized planning, so that's important there. Every year, it's really important that your advisor does an annual review of your coverage, update you on anything that might be happening in the industry, and then they should take care of any policy service on your behalf. And then at claim time, that's a really big part of what we do as a firm. I think we're pretty unique. We complete all of our clients' claim forms, and then basically that client just knows that they deal with their advisor at our firm. That's something that's pretty unique to us. We get told that a lot by the different insurance companies that we work with. You guys are really hands-on with your clients when it comes to claims. So there's no automated service number. What we've noticed with different associations or group plans, the insurance company basically just sends you forms, complete these, and then send them to the insurance company. So that's something that we strongly believe on is being there to help our clients at claim time. And having been in the profession or a company being around for 27 years, we've probably seen every claim imaginable. So again, it's always important to review this together every year, just similar to why a patient comes to you every 6 months is, if you're on top of things, then you're doing all the right proper planning. So yeah, I think that sort of summarizes everything up on my end, and I'll get Wendy.
Hi, yeah. Hi, Paul. Thanks very much. That was, I noticed we've run, just for everybody's interest, we've run this webinar several times over the last couple of years, and Paul doesn't get paid for this. He just donates his time to us, so we really appreciate having this information. I think I cannot stress enough, when I was faculty teaching in a dental hygiene program, it was always a big thing to encourage students, especially new graduates coming into the profession, to purchase some type of income protection. And now in this role with the association, I'm contacted on, I mean, I wouldn't say every day or every week, but certainly every month I'm contacted by hygienists that become partially disabled, completely disabled due to a variety of reasons. And of course, the very first question I always ask is, do you have disability insurance? Do you have some type of income protection? And I have to say that the vast majority of hygienists, it's way under 50% that carry any type of a coverage, and it's just really not a safe place to be. I hear stories from single moms who are in agony, and they their work as a hygienist causes them significant distress and pain, and yet they're the only source of income for their family, and they feel compelled, as they are, to go to work and work under exceedingly harsh conditions. I mean, our work is hard enough without having to be in pain or having some type of a condition that is limiting our ability to work in a pain-free environment for sure.
Yeah, no, 100% with that.
Yeah, I just
Yeah.
want everybody to know. I purchased my disability insurance when I first graduated, way back in, I hesitate to say the year now, it's 1991. It's been 28 years since I was a baby hygienist. And at the time, I thought the premium seemed, ooh, I'm just starting work. I've got student loans to pay back. I've got a young family. I had 2 young children. It seemed like a lot, but to be quite honest, as I'm looking back in hindsight, I joke that say that most of the hygienists on tonight are significantly younger than me and probably spend more money on a tank of gas or on expensive coffees every week than what I spend for a month in my premiums, and I feel completely protected. I've had to claim once, not for a very long time. It was a surgery I had to have on my foot and I couldn't work. I was in private practice, and yeah, so it's a big relief to know that your income is protected if something should happen. And I always say, if you purchase insurance and you never use it, it's expensive. If you purchase it and you need it, it's invaluable. It'll seem so cheap that, oh my gosh, isn't it a good thing that I purchased this?
No, so true.
Yeah. So I have a question. So I know sometimes premiums are affected by if you're like a risk taker, you drive sports cars and you race them, you skydive, or I don't know, you go down in those tanks and watch sharks swim around, all those types of dangerous type of activities. So if I don't engage in that behavior and I purchase a policy and then later I want to take up skydiving because, hey, that's on my bucket list, how does that affect premiums? Like, could they exclude me because I didn't say I was a skydiver at the time?
No, great question. So as long as when you sign up for the coverage, you don't have any intentions to do those activities or you're not currently doing them, then if 5 years down the road or a period of time you want to take up a sport that you typically weren't doing, then that would be covered.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. Perfect. Um, what if I have, or not me, but what if a particular candidate had a pre-existing medical issue? Can that affect coverage or the premiums, or how does the insurance company look at that?
Typically not premiums, but what they might do is they might exclude that condition for a period of time. So they might say, okay, well, we're going to exclude that bad back for the life of the coverage, which would
Right.
be, yeah, the other scenario would be, okay, we're going to exclude that condition for 5 years, and then we can reconsider it at the 5 year mark.
Right. Okay. So if I have
Uh,
a condition at this point in time, it doesn't necessarily mean that I can't get coverage.
no, they might just say, okay, well, we're not going to insure that condition for a period of time, and then you can reconsider it, or they'll reconsider it in a 5 year period.
Right. Right. Okay. I kind of had a
Like one of
similar.
my,
Oh, go
sorry,
ahead.
go ahead, Wendy.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
So
Go
one of
ahead.
my clients that was in the office today, um, it's been 5 years since she's had any issues with her back. So we were applying to remove the exclusion on
Ah,
that policy.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I purchased my policy, I had some complications due to my first pregnancy. I graduated, got my plan, worked for a couple of years, and then I got pregnant again. And I think in an exclusion was any complication due to pregnancy is how the exclusion was written. But now my second pregnancy, I didn't have any complications, so it was all well and good. But I just remember that was an exclusion because of my previous issue with having complications with a pregnancy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So here's a question, another one for you. What if a hygienist is working for an employer and the coverage is with the employer, and that hygienist becomes, or let's say they get diagnosed with a health issue that could lead to disability in the future? How would that affect the purchase of an individual plan if that hygienist wanted to change employers? That was a big question. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Just ask that one again.
Yeah, so the hygienist is working for an employer with group or some type of group coverage or an employer sponsored plan.
Yeah.
And then the hygienist gets diagnosed with something that is not causing disability now, but could lead to disability in the future. And now she wants to change jobs and purchase her own or his own insurance.
That's a really good question. So likely the individual contract would exclude that condition.
Ah, so if they change jobs and go to purchase their own, it's going to, okay, that's the same as the previous question I asked. So they're going to exclude that condition, right?
Yeah. There could be an opportunity when that hygienist leaves that job that they could take that policy with them.
Oh, even
So
if it's a group plan or?
yeah, sometimes if you're leaving an employer and want to keep the coverage,
Oh, okay. Oh, I didn't know
there's
that. Okay.
yeah, sometimes depending on the insurance carrier, there may be an opportunity to take that plan with you.
Okay.
Yeah,
So that's something you should check out then.
that would be one thing to
Yeah.
check out or to ask. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm not getting any questions from the group. That means they either all fell asleep or you answered all their questions so clearly. I'm thinking it means that you answered their questions and the presentation was so great. I know when I was teaching and I'd get no questions at the end of a lecture, I was always like very scared. What does that mean?
Yeah.
I've completely
Well, the
confused
webinar is
everybody.
the webinar is even more scary because I don't know if anyone's out there.
I know. That's
Yeah.
I did ask about audio and I did get one response
Yeah. No, I'm just
that
joking.
audio was good, but I agree. You know, I'm getting a little bit used to it now that I've been doing it for 4 years. But the first few
Yeah.
times, it's like normally when you do a presentation, you can see that people either they've got their head down and they're sleeping, or they're actually looking at you, paying attention.
Yeah.
And yeah, when you're talking to dead air, it's quite
No.
disconcerting.
Well, when I
Uh,
first did the webinar, my staff would be walking by my office and like, why is he presenting to himself?
yeah,
He's talking to himself in
uh,
his office and no one's
that's
there.
funny.
So yeah.
Here's Tiffany. She asks, "What about if you have if you have previously seen probably a registered massage therapist for maintenance prior? So is that going to affect anything?"
Typically not. Typically not. And what I do is I just disclose that on the application that it's just routine maintenance and
Right.
clients doing this for general well-being and relaxation, and there's typically no issues.
Right. Yeah, I guess it's different than if you had a chronic back pain and you've been to the massage therapist for the last 6 years
For
every
sure.
month and they
Yeah.
are always working on your sore back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Amberly
And then
says you're
the other thing we found I think as in the industry is if an individual is typically excluded for a condition,
yeah.
when it comes time to claim, they're never claiming for that condition. It's always something unrelated.
Oh, really?
Like I'm
Okay.
thinking of sort of mental health. So let's say an individual is having a tough time with anxiety or depression. Well, they're typically getting treatment for that. They're seeing people. They're on top of that
Right.
condition, so they know it's a bit of a okay. I need to look after this. And then when it has come to a claim, they're always claiming for something completely unrelated to that
Right.
exclusion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, that's an interesting phenomenon, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Amberly says you were pretty thorough, no questions here. So that's great. You answered their
Okay.
questions. Well, I'm not
There's
getting
one.
anything else on the chat function here. I'm just double
Is there
checking.
one more there?
Uh,
My whole career, I've almost gone monthly.
mm,
Do you see that one?
I don't see that one. How come I don't see it? I'm jealous. Oh, go ahead. I guess you're gonna have to read the question there, Paul.
It says my whole career, I've almost gone monthly. Do you just disclose? So I guess if that's related to the massage,
I don't
then
understand.
we would just disclose.
Right, you just disclosed that.
Yeah, it's better to just disclose everything and be completely transparent, and then even if it's something so really insignificant.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm concerned now that I'm not getting all the chat functions. If somebody has a microphone, you can take yourself off mute if you've asked a question. That maybe if people could.
I had one that came up.
Okay. No, I'm getting.
Sorry,
Oh, go ahead.
that was me asking you about like if somebody, for myself, my whole career I've gone monthly to bi-monthly for massage and chiro and all that because we have benefits in my work. I just wanted to know if that would affect whether or not you'd be like, are you going to be not eligible for your shoulder? And because I mean, obviously it's my shoulder and my back and all that stuff they massage every time. So.
Right.
Are you going for more maintenance or?
Well, yeah, to prevent chronic pain.
Yeah. Okay. So without asking all the details on the webinar, I would, my hope would be that it would just be a normal policy issued without any exclusions.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you just disclose that you've gone, and that's.
Yeah. Just, I mean, you know, I go once a month for a massage. I go because it's just, I find it relaxing, and I'm sitting at a desk all day, so
Yeah.
there's no one particular issue that I'm dealing with.
Not being approved because they've gone to a massage therapist or a chiropractor or anything like that. Okay.
No.
No.
Typically not.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I must say that from what I can remember, going through the application process, they are very thorough. They ask lots of questions, and I guess the best advice is to just be as honest as you can. Fill out the information completely and thoroughly, and be honest. If you've seen a healthcare professional for X, then just report that.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, I got a comment. Thanks for the presentation. It was very informative and interesting, and good information from Jenny. So that looks like it. So I guess we're done. Well, thank you, Paul. I really appreciate it. I'm just going to take back the screen here for, whoops, hit the wrong button there trying to end. I'm just going to put the, sorry, I'm just going okay, hang on, what's it doing? Sorry, I think, okay. So we should be able to see my screen again. There we go. So there's the SurveyMonkey survey we'd like you to fill out. I'll send that out in a link in an email tonight. And thank you very much for attending. We really appreciate it. And I'll just pop up my contact information here as well as Paul's. So if you want to get in touch with Paul. Paul, that's still your correct information?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Great. Well, thank you everybody for attending. We really appreciate it. And we'll see you at the next webinar.
Great. Thanks, Wendy.
Okay. Good night, everybody.
Good night.